Pakistan is celebrating Women's Day, not only the Women's Day 8th March, but we are celebrating the whole of March, and we are trying to celebrate women leaders in Pakistan, specifically in Pakistan, and we are trying to see, and we are really keen in interviewing some of the people who've made their names, people who have broken all biases, who've broken all ceilings women can think of. I think it's all in the mind. It can happen. We have seen people do it. I am back with another fantastic interview with a very, very motivational personality. I would say a personality who has been in the news and everywhere recently, no other than our Dr. Yasmin Rashid. She is the Minister of Primary Healthcare Punjab, Secondary Healthcare Punjab, medical education, and specialized healthcare. So she has a huge portfolio, a portfolio of one of the biggest, largest province of Pakistan. And being a doctor and a female doctor, a gynecologist, I think I feel that this is a huge task that she's doing. But she's always been doing something big and huge all her life, be it being in the college, as a student, as an activist, as a gynae obs doctor. I mean, she has always been doing something uh, which nobody has done before. And she's always breaking ceilings. She has been the professor of gynae and obs in Rawalpindi Medical College. She has been the professor of obs in Fatma Jinnah Medical University and in King Edward Medical University. Besides being a professor of gynae and having a very, very illustrious career, she has also been into social work. She's an activist. You can think of any area where you need activism. Dr. Yasmin has always been there, be it thalassemia or Alzheimer or girls' education or mother and child healthcare, you name it, and she is always there. And she has been a very active sports woman, also winning championships as a college student in table tennis. So a very well-rounded personality. Also, she's a flyer. She had a passion of learning how to fly, so she has done that. So any field you think of, and you think maybe it's a man's world, but Dr. Yasmin has been there in that race, and actually going ahead and leaving a lot of people behind. And then came politics. I think 2010, she retired and she came into politics. And over there also, she was up there for any position. Anybody, and even males would feel that they can't do that task, but she would go and do it. So a very, very, I would say, active person, a big motivation to everybody, even in the midst of pandemic. She had a personal crisis of her own, of she was battling with cancer, but she was ahead of everybody in taking the lead, and in the not in the province and in the country, and really a lot of praise goes to her, how the country managed the COVID situation. So our session today is to learn from Dr. Yasmin, to learn how she has broken all biases that are associated with women leaders, women doctors, women specialists, women politicians. Here we are, no other than the legend herself, Dr. Yasmin Rashid. She is the Health Minister of Punjab. And not only just the health minister, she's the health minister for primary healthcare, for secondary healthcare, for specialized healthcare, and for medical education for the largest province of Pakistan, Punjab. She has a huge, huge, huge portfolio, but nobody could have done justice to this portfolio as she is doing this. But I think besides being a health minister, she's a woman of strength, and she has been like that ever since I think she was a little girl. And we she has broken so many biases that if you I was just giving a list of all the biases that she has broken. So I'm not going to repeat all of those biases, but I would like to ask Dr. Saiba herself that when did she realize that she is breaking so many biases which people hold against girls, ladies, women? So I want to ask her story from the beginning.
Thank you, Huma. I'm very grateful that you want to know how did I break my biases. I think one of the major factor is your family support. I was actually very lucky to be born into a family, although I belong to a very small village, Neela, from Chakwal. But my grandfather, who though not formally educated himself, had a tremendous vision, and he believed that all his children must get educated, which meant both boys and girls. And that was a good part about it, that right from the day, that is the revolution which came in our family, where my grandfather ensured that his daughters also got educated and his sons also got educated. I am the second generation of educated women in that family. And
Mashallah.
the second good part was that I had an opportunity to live my first 5 years with my grandparents in the village because my mother was studying to be a doctor, and I was born when she was in second year. And my grandfather mentored me throughout, and I mean, I could say anything and speak out anything, and I was given that importance which very few girl child gets in village particularly. And that gave me that confidence and that security which comes from love and a feeling that you are equally important as sons are. And of course, I joined my parents in 56, 55, 56, and I joined them started my education in Presentation Convent, Peshawar. And I was lucky because my father's upbringing had also been in a house where women were given the due importance. Therefore, we were given that importance in his house also. And I remember that I was given a lot of independence. When I started my college, I was permitted to drive myself to the college, which very few girls at the age of 17 or 18 are permitted to do. But my parents had immense trust in me, and they thought that I can look
So
after myself. And that actually resulted in my becoming confident, more and more confident day by day. If you nurture your children in a way where they feel that they'll always be more confident when they're facing any sort of problems in such a patriarchal society like ours in Pakistan. Eventually, because of all this boost, I still remember, and I was always very, very, very political because this was taught to me right from the beginning when I was a young child that I would speak up for myself. If I thought there was something wrong, I must speak up and I must try to speak the truth. I should not lie. So this was the sort of training I had been given by my grandfather. And I was very political. I still remember I was studying in Convent of Jesus Mary when I contested my first elections and became vice captain of discipline. Um, and then when I went to Lahore College for Women, I was very fond of games. I again contested elections and became the sports president. But you must remember, at the age of 16, I thought so independently. Of course, there was also a trend from my parents, but because my father was also very politically inclined at that time, and particularly after the Tashkent Declaration, I still remember taking out the first procession against the sitting government, and because of the failure that they did at the Tashkent Parliament. And I think I was among one of the youngest people protesting. So I learned at a very young age that you could speak up for yourself and speak up for your country and speak up for your fellows. And in that way, once when I joined Fatima Jinnah Medical College, I became the Students' Union General Secretary, then the President after elections. And then when I became a doctor, that political, feeling was always there, and I became the General Secretary of Pakistan Medical Association in Lahore. And then finally, 2000, I became the first woman to get elected as President of Pakistan Medical Association. And this is the first time a woman got elected in an association which was made up more of men doctors than female doctors. So I think when you look at it, uh, I always feel it entirely depends upon the effort you put into your work that gives you the proper recognition and the daring that you develop. You have to be daring to take some very special steps. And if you learn how to lead from the front, it always pays up in the long run.
आप मुझे ये बताएं कि आप पीएमए की भी प्रेसिडेंट बन गई जहां पे ज्यादातर इट वाज अ मेल डोमिनेटेड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सो टेल मी यस योर पेरेंट्स गेव यू अ लॉट ऑफ कॉन्फिडेंस एंड दे ट्रेन्ड यू इन दैट वे बट इन द वर्ल्ड आउट देयर वेयर देयर योर competition was men. How did you deal with that? I am sure it was very difficult because it's not very easy for women doctors to and professionals like yourself to deal with the biases that men have against professional women and specifically doctors and professionals like yourself.
I think one of the major causes which gave me one of the major reasons that I had gained so much of confidence was that I told you I was a sports person. And I used to play table tennis for Pakistan. And I used to play at the national level. Playing among men gave me that sort of confidence where I felt that if you excel in something, you're given the due support. And I'm sure playing table tennis at national level, having a chance to travel with fellow table tennis players who are also men, and of course females, when we used to play together, the sort of support that we gave each other has played an important role in my life. Why? Because I felt more confident when I moved among men, even when I joined PMA, and where the majority of people or majority of the members were men. And but then the important part is how to become a leader of that man or of that group of men. And for that, I think what is needed is you need it's immaterial. You reach a certain point where whether you're a man or you're a woman, it entirely depends upon what sort of a leadership role will you play. And to play a leadership role, there are a lot of sacrifices that you do actually. You sacrifice a lot of your time, you sacrifice a lot of your family time, you actually have to give extra hours to making yourself heard and all that sort of a thing. So basically, to come into the leadership role, leadership role is basically when you manage to get a group of people together listening to you. And for that, as I said,
as a leader, you have been wherever you have been a leader, be it college, be it school, then the medical side where you were head of PMA, you were a leader even there. And then you came into politics. And I am sure even in Pakistan, as you see, politics is also very male dominated here. And over here, how did you manage to become the leader of the leaders? What was it? Something else that happened to you? How did you? What was your paradigm then?
Because I always believe, as I said, since I had this opportunity of leading men when I was working with Pakistan Medical Association, and it was very kind of them that they acknowledged me as their group leader. I mean, the group used to be known first as Yasmin Rashid Group. Rather than coming from a man's name, it was Yasmin Rashid Group. And till date, we still are all working together, and so it still give me that importance of when major decisions have to be made. I'm a part of all those major decisions. So therefore, when I went into politics, I went on a very different footing. I did not go in because I was a woman. I went into politics because I was a recognized politician in my own right among the medical profession. In the medical profession, I was recognized for my, fighting for the rights of the medical profession and speaking up for them. And therefore, I was recognized in my own right. And therefore, the identity, whether I was a man or a woman, went away. It was that I led Pakistan Medical Association at that particular moment in time. And therefore, when I came into national politics, I donned that role quite comfortably.
What is that inside you that makes you take up challenges that no one dares to take up, no man dares to take up?
I think basically I am a very loving and a very mild mother, but my father was the adventurous one who would take up challenges all the time. And I used to idolize him. And I think one of the factors which always made me ready to take up a challenge was basically because of the sort of support I used to get from him. And so men in my life have played a very important role into converting me into a political person. My grandfather, my father, and then my father-in-law. My father-in-law played a very important role. Why? Because when I was married, when I was just in um, when I was just finished my FSC, and my father-in-law was in politics, and he really appreciated my effort and everything, and kept on mentoring me. I was always very concerned about my elections, and taught me the art of electioneering. And I think one of the reasons where I could take up these challenges was that I wasn't stopped from anything. My husband, uh, if he had not supported me, you see, men in your life will always play a very important role. If they encourage you and and they ask you that you are, they give you this feeling that you are capable of playing that role, that's never a problem. My teachers, there a lot of my teachers who played a very important role in my life. And one of them was Professor Humayun Maqsood, who used to be our teacher. He used to always tell me that you continue doing what you want to do because I believe that you'll go a long way and you'll really go to high places because of that capacity of fighting it out that I see in you will really uh, give you a better place in society. And I'm very lucky that because of all of this, I still remember him telling me, "You're going to become a health minister one day." And I used to laugh at him. And I said, "No, I'm not going to become the health minister." And
So
I
you got
finally
a lot
ended
of,
up being the health minister.
you did not only just the health minister, but the health minister with a very huge portfolio. I think, and you were doing a lot of work in that, and when you became the health minister. There came in COVID-19, and the way you led the whole province, and you were part of the country's team also, and at the same time you were going through your own personal crisis of battling through cancer. Even that did not stop you. You were there leading from the front. And what was it that made you do that, that gave you that kind of a strength? And Pakistan did really well in this whole crisis of COVID-19, and hats off to you and the whole team. But you being one of the leaders, leading this whole thing, leading the country through this whole crisis, what was going on in your mind?
Um, well, frankly speaking, it will sound very, um, I don't know how's it going to sound, but when I was fighting my battle with cancer, I considered myself still very lucky that my leader reposed confidence in me and thought I could battle both my work as I could fight COVID and I could also fight my cancer. Because I think once I came and told him about my problem of cancer, as the Prime Minister, and realizing how important this ministry was for him, he could have easily asked to place me by somebody else. But his reposing his confidence in me gave me all the strength. And second, you must not forget that there's a certain amount of passion about things that you do. If you're not passionate enough, I became a doctor with a passion. Therefore, I used to work very hard as a doctor. And because I was very fond of teaching, I was very passionate about teaching. So, therefore, I turned into a good teacher. And then I'm very passionate about my politics, and I'm passionate about whatever responsibility is given to me. And particularly, the responsibility of health was something that I looked forward throughout my life, thinking if I get a chance and opportunity and of changing situations, maybe if ever in my life, then I would put in the best. It's another thing that when I was working, I also developed this problem of cancer. But that did not stop me from my goal that I wanted to achieve. And Allah has been very kind to me that He gave me that extraordinary strength that I continue both my fights. And I think it has been a good teamwork that we managed to control COVID, and we are managing to accomplish all that we had thought of.
And also, I would like to add that what you are talking about is that your priority is the people, and the health, the people, not the brick and the mortar of the country, but the human capital of the country. And yes, women are a big part of the human capital, and you have been an ardent, I would say, fighter for the rights of women, be it in anywhere. So, and of course, you're a huge, huge role model for so many ladies, girls, women, doctors, leaders of this country. What is your message to people, to all the women, if they want to be leaders like Dr. Yasmin Rashid? What do they need to do?
The message I'd like to give to the women of Pakistan: reach for the stars. Do not think that you're not capable of doing whatever you want to do in life. So you must always dream of changes which can improve your life and your fellows' life and the people around you, and dream about it and try to then accomplish your dreams. And being a woman should never stop you from struggling in life, because I believe you can make a place for yourself if you work hard enough.
Very true. Thank you. That's really, really very nice of you to give us time today. We are really grateful to you. एंड योर आपकी बातें तो हमेशा दिल को जाके लगती हैं, क्योंकि आपकी बातें निकलती हैं आपके दिल से. सो थैंक यू सो मच डॉक्टर साहिबा. We wish you all the luck, and we also pray for you that you are able to achieve the dream that you have been dreaming, that you fulfill this dream not only for yourself but for the people of Pakistan. Thank you so much.